we might need this building in 10 years. We might need the National Plant Germplasm next year. It will be needed 200,000 plus times this year and next year.
In this nondescript building behind me in Fort Collins, Colorado, is an incredible resource for the United States and the entire world. This is part of the USDA Agricultural Resource Service. Join me today as I tour it and the National Seed Storage Laboratory. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and right now I'm walking through America's Seed Vault. It's very cold in here, but I'm surrounded by hundreds of thousands of samples of seeds in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Standing here in one of the seed vaults at the USDA Agricultural Resource Service's National Laboratory for Genetic Resources Preservation. So we call it NLGRP, National Laboratory for Genetic Resources Preservation is the name of this building. They call it a bank, and I think of a bank, money comes in and money comes out. A library, but it's an active collection. It's not a museum.
Okay.
The samples here are designed to go out to help a breeder.
Okay.
They're not designed to sit and gather dust and for some far off need that might happen in the future. This is a very active collection, and the National Plant Germplasm System and the National Animal Germplasm Program are very active collections.
That's Dr. Darren Harmel, the director of the Center for Agricultural Resources Research. And along with a team of highly trained, highly specialized researchers and scientists, they have a mission to solve critical national problems by ensuring the security and future use of agricultural, genetic, and natural resources. Dr. Harmel is extremely knowledgeable and passionate about his role, and he was very gracious to give me a very thorough tour of their entire facility. And when he talks about an active collection, well, I think it's not much different than what we gardeners are using from season to season. This is my active collection. I've got hundreds of seed packets here, but it pales in comparison to the 600,000 seed acquisitions that they're storing in their seed vaults. I think that's incredible. But most importantly, as he points out, they're not collecting dust. They're not waiting for some future calamity. They're being used right now, just like we gardeners do on a yearly basis. But while the boxes that they store their seeds aren't much different than the boxes I store my seeds, their building is designed to withstand tornadoes and every imaginable natural disaster. The vaults are behind steel doors, and very few people know the combinations. The temperature is very precise that they're storing the seeds at. They're very concerned about those conditions. Dr. Harmel politely but firmly let me know that I was taking too long to walk through the door and letting some of the air out. But the seeds are only part of what they're storing. They have an amazing array of vats filled with liquid nitrogen that are holding even more samples. Is there any other facility like this in the country that you're aware of?
Not that is a diverse gene bank. I think this is the greatest agricultural gene bank in the world.
You may be aware of the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It's on a Norwegian island in the Arctic. And as I learned from Dr. Harmel, it's essentially just a big hole in the ground that has very consistent cold temperatures. But there are problems with humidity control. That's one reason why this American seed vault is in Colorado. Our dry environment actually allows them to have better control over the humidity within that building. And I also learned
they only handle the species that are propagated by seeds.
Svalbard is as the example. Are they storing in liquid nitrogen like this? They've purely got the vault where they're storing the seeds similar to what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and it's the beauty of Svalbard. It's nature created that perfectly temperature-controlled vault.
Okay.
And so it's just shells. Well, I've never been there. I hope to go for seed storage, yes. So
Okay.
you could not store papaya or avocado or any of those species or any animal samples in Svalbard.
And so you are storing some of those tropical species here,
Yes.
but using the nitrogen system as part of
Yes.
that?
Because, and again, our research team is very important to this. We don't just get an avocado seed and drop it in. One, we have to have the data on it. But two, we have to cool it appropriately that we avoid water crystals from forming, because that's the killer on cells. If ice forms, if water freezes, then it creates sharp crystals that
Yeah.
destroy the integrity of the cells. And our researchers here have I think some things are easy. Corn might be a crop that you stick in the freezer and it's going to live. Some seeds even are recalcitrant and they're just difficult to deal with. And so our researchers had to develop techniques to store those. So it's not just we're not just a storage facility. There's a great deal of research and expertise that goes into this to make sure that those samples are viable when they're needed.
That was hugely insightful for me. I thought, just like Svalbard, the Colorado facility was just a place to store seeds in a refrigerated room, but it's so much more than that.
Back to the green wall, we need to capture all of that diversity we can, because we don't know which accession is going to be the one in 50 years that holds that genetic key that we need to take advantage of.
So what is agriculturally relevant?
Horticultural plants are agriculturally relevant. Flowers, then the things you might think of, the corns, the wheats, the rices, the tropical species, the avocados, the mangoes. On the animal side, it's, sheep, dairy cattle, beef cattle, pork, turkeys, llamas.
And it's not just what's being used in the United States. It sounds like you're storing things from all over the world.
Yes, because and you know this better than I, but the location, the origin, the country of origin, there's not a lot. I mean, squash was kind of native here and sunflowers, but all the wheat type species were Middle Eastern. We can't it's not real easy for us to go there and gather seeds for wheat anymore. And so yes, it's very important for us to have in the past had the foresight to gather those species, most of them which originated somewhere else outside our borders, because it's not always to go get them anymore.
So it's not just land plants and land animals.
Now that's more of you could argue maybe that's outside of our mission a bit, but it's the right thing to do from a humanitarian standpoint.
Interesting.
We help with some zebrafish. The National Institute of Health uses zebrafish for some of its models.
Okay.
So we have zebrafish germplasm here, and again, we can reconstitute a zebrafish line from those. Yes, it's eggs and semen, just like other, if they need us to.
So there's seeds and buds and animal cells from native species and exotic species from all over the world. But before you start putting together your shopping list and showing up with your shopping bag, recognize that this is not a commercial or retail operation. It doesn't work like that. How would someone access the library or the bank to do studies, to do planting, or for whatever purpose?
A university breeder would be a viable requester, a home gardener that wants seeds for his or her curiosity. That's not where we're here to support.
Okay.
But a researcher or a breeder, that's who we're here to support.
But while it may seem that their focus is on research and breeding, they are very aware of home gardeners. I spoke with one of the research leaders who is the liaison for a lot of the same companies that you and I are buying seeds from. They know all about Seed Savers Exchange and the work that a lot of these big companies are doing. And where are the seeds going from these companies, from these type of growers? Well, they're going to that seed vault. And what does the future look like? Are they going to run out of space anytime soon?
We might need this building in 10 years. We might need the National Plant Germplasm next year. It will be needed 200,000 plus times this year and next year. And
Is this part of the design of this building that you can always keep growing?
yeah, we don't mean to be silly here, but we don't have an infinite plan for growth, but we do have a pretty long term. There's another floor like this that sits vacant today,
Okay.
that could be instrumented just like this floor. Just like there's another seed vault it's not empty, but it's got a ton of capacity. So we're decades and decades away from storage limitation issues. The animals program, again, we house the entire USDA National Animal Germplasm in this building. So it's not just the samples, but the researchers, same as on the plant side. They hit a milestone of 1 million samples a few years ago.
Wow. 1 million samples on the animal side, 600,000 seed samples, and room to grow for decades to come. I think I would agree with Dr. Harmel in saying that this may be the most impressive storage facility in the world. And it's here in the United States, and for me, here in Colorado. Thanks to the entire team at the Agricultural Research Service. It's an amazing opportunity I had, and I'm so glad I could share it with you today. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.